This is Bill Brady doing another video for the Kingship course. Today, the topic is the gospel of Christ. It's a very interesting phrase in scripture that's only found in Paul. I searched here in Bible Gateway for the phrase the gospel of Christ in the New King James Version and found 10 occurrences of it. And all of them are in Paul's writings, 3 in Romans, 2 in 1 Corinthians, 2 in 2 Corinthians, 1 in Galatians, 1 in Philippians, 1 in 1 Thessalonians. Excuse me. There are many gospels. Now, the scripture clearly speaks against another gospel, proclaiming another gospel. In other words, something that's not scriptural or is not a true gospel. But there are more than one gospel mentioned in Scripture. The gospel of Christ, the gospel of the kingdom, the gospel of peace, the everlasting gospel. There's probably a couple more that I haven't remembered off the top of my head here. But the gospel of Christ is the gospel of Yeshua as the King. And is proclaimed by an apostle, Paul, who is an apostle functioning at that first level of apostleship that I spoke about before, the ones that preach the gospel of kingdom. They also preach the gospel of Christ. That higher level of apostle function would function in the gospel of Christ, but it's not just proclaiming that Yeshua is the Christ. It's proclaiming that we are Christ as well, that we are kings. We are destined to be kings. It's a higher level of apostle function than what Paul was functioning at the time that he wrote about the gospel of Christ. But it's still the gospel of Christ. It's just a higher level of function in the gospel of Christ. That first level is Yeshua functioning as the Christ, and the second level is us functioning as Christ. So I just want to quickly go down these so you can see these 10 mentions of the gospel of Christ. You can pause this at any point and look at any one of them in more detail. Very, very interesting. This is the key verse, mention of the gospel of Christ, and it's the first mention of the gospel of Christ. Paul the apostle speaking, writing to the ecclesia in Rome. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God to salvation for everyone who believes, for the Jew first, and also for the Greek. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed, from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith.